to Junk Journal July 2025. This is Serendipity Intended, and my name is Tracy Ann. Starting off a little bit differently today, I don't have my book out, I just have my supplies here. I do want to show you the page real quick that I'm going to use. It is this one, and the prompt for today is stripes, and this looked like a stripe to me, and so that's why I decided to use this spread. I'm going to leave this alone for now, probably do something with it later, but I am going to tie it into what's happening over here. I decided I just wanted to make a tag, do something simple. I will probably make this background plain. Haven't decided what I want to do with this yet, but first I need to make the tag. And so I'm going to move this out of the way. So what I decided to do, I got a bunch of stripped paper together just from my pile of scraps, and I took this is a page from the book that I decided I wasn't going to use, and I just sort of figured out approximately how big I wanted it to be on the page, so very much close to the whole page size. Then I gathered my glue stick and some bits and pieces, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I am going to move her over for later and slide these out of the way. So what I did, I just gathered up a bunch of strips, and I am going to put, so I don't get glue all over my surface, I am going to put this piece of wax paper behind it. So I just went through my strips and pulled ones that I thought were interesting, and the pieces that were a little bit larger, I just manually cut them down. Nothing at all precise about them. I'm just going to use my Yoo-hoo stick to glue them down, and I'm just going to start from the top and just start gluing. Now you notice this first one isn't quite as wide, and that's okay because I will be cutting the corners off and it'll be fine. So now I'm just going to take each of these and put some glue on them and stick them down until I get the card completely filled up. I did have the pieces selected beforehand and more or less in order, which is why I'm able to lay them down so quickly here. There was a little bit of moving back and forth that I did before I filmed this section of the video, but then you can see even after I laid them down, I ended up making some decisions and going back and rearranging them again. It's a little bit of the being open to what you feel in the motion, that's serendipity, rather than being so fixated on the original plan that you don't give yourself an opportunity to revise your decision. Either I was trying to decide which one was right, that one that I had didn't quite feel right, and I ended up settling for this sort of seashore looking blue instead. I'm not usually one for repetitive tasks, but I do find this process very meditative. Here you can see I really wanted an orange, and I knew there was a bit more of that color somewhere in there, but I could not find it. So I ended up abandoning it and just choosing something else that had a bit of orange in it. After the video was done, when I was cleaning up, I did find the other segment of that yellow. So with the whole thing finished, all I had to do was trim off the edges. I decided to use my scissors that gave me a little bit more control with all of these small bits, and I thought it was a safer option. So it doesn't quite look like a tag yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just eyeball the corner, and I want to make sure I get all of the white off. And then I'm going to take the piece that I cut off, flip this over, and then use that to cut the other side. And that way I know that both sides are identical. Okay, so that is my tag. And I'm gonna grab, I have this great punch that I purchased. I don't remember where, I think I got it on Amazon. I'll try and remember to put a link to this in my, it does like a slot, which will be great for the ribbons. Actually, I'm gonna turn it this way so I can see where I'm punching. All right, that's as far as I can go. So I'll get it about center, and I have a nice little slot for the tag. Okay, so I'm almost done with this tag. I do want to add another one of my vintage dolls to the tag, but she disappears a little bit. So I was trying to figure out what could I do to zhuzh this up a bit and have her pop. And so I wanted something white, and I found in my stash this doily that I've had for a while, and I thought that might look cool behind her, just a little bit ripped off, just again to get her to pop out. And I thought that also tied in really well with the other side where it says, "You look really good today." So yeah, so I'm gonna do that. So I'm just gonna tear probably like this, and then down along this edge, and that's probably further than I need, but that way I can sort of estimate with her where I want it to. So probably here-ish. Just follow that curve. There we go. And she will go right there. Yeah, that works. Right, let's get this glued down and then get her glued down. I decided to use a glue stick rather than glitter glue because I thought it would be easier to apply, giving all of those little holes, but it ended up being much trickier than I expected. And I ended up having a bunch of glue eke through the holes, and so I had to go back and kind of clean it up. Pulling on the doll was much easier. Decided I wanted to add a little bit of extra to her just to fancy her up a bit. So I played around with a couple of bits that I had in my stash, and I ended up choosing the simplest one. Since it already had a glue dot on the back, I just had to attach it. And of course, a tag needs some sort of tassel or ribbon at the top. I pulled out a couple of ribbons from my stash and also some threads, and I was just playing here to see which one looked better. I really wanted that polka dot one to work because I just love the pink and the brown together, but even with all those stripes and patterns, it just seemed like too much going on. I settled instead for a combination of 3 pieces, 2 ribbons and a bit of string. And once I got them all to the right length, then I needed to make sure that the yellow string didn't get missed when I attached everything together. So you can see me trying to sandwich it in between the 2 ribbons to help make sure it stayed in place. It was a little more fiddly than I expected. Then a quick staple to hold it in place. Actually decided on 2. So that turned out well. And then I decided I needed to do something to the back. I had this little sticker that I thought would be fun, and color-wise worked. I placed it in the middle there so it would be where that bumpy doodad was, and I'm going to save the outline for that as something fun, maybe for later. I find that outlining items that you've stuck onto a page in black gives them a little bit more oomph. And I also decided to add some of the dashed lines that I'd been using on other pages just to connect this tag to other things going on in the journal. Finally, a little bit of sketchy lines around her to make her pop as well. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for now and work on the actual page. So it's here, and actually slide these over just a little bit more. So like I said, I'm going to leave this here because I think it's a fun title, and I just need to cover this page. So I had another sheet that I cut out, and I thought, because I don't want to see this, I could just put this down, and that would be a cute backdrop for the card, or the tag rather. So that's what I'm going to do, nice and simple. With this, because it's a bigger piece, I am going to use my art glitter glue rather than the glue stick, just to make sure that it stays stuck and doesn't peel off. So again, go around the outside here a little bit. I had such fun yesterday with the prompt for freedom, and you should definitely check out that video. I'm super pleased with how it turned out, but it took a long time to make, and it took a really long time to put the video together, and so I decided to give myself some grace today and do something a little bit simpler. So now I have my page, I have my tag, I just need to have a way to get this tag to stay on the page, and I'm going to do a belly band for that. And I have this piece, this is from a Natural Life catalog that I got, and this is sort of the vibe that I've been working with. So I'm just going to make a belly band and set it right on the page like this, and then the tag can come in or out. So I've already backed it just with some additional pages from here to make it a little sturdier. I want to add, let me slide this down a little bit. I'm going to take my compass and I'm just going to punch a hole here and on this side as well. And you notice I am eyeballing it. It's not going to be totally precise, and I'm totally okay with that. Make this just a little bit bigger. Make this just a little bit bigger because I have 2 little brads here, and I'm going to use those. I don't want to go through this page because I want to keep these intact. So I'm going to create the illusion that these are attaching this belly band to the page, but in reality they're just decorative. Okay. But that hole that I punched with my compass makes it super easy to pop those in. And with larger brads, I just use a little hole punch that I have, but these are so tiny I didn't want them to scooch around a lot. So there we go. And then for this, because I want it to stay stuck, I'm going to use some of my red tape. And just got to find the edge. Maybe. There it is. All right. And then I'm going to go right over the brad with this tape, and then trim it off. I try not to use my cutting scissors to cut tape so I don't end up with glue on them. Don't always succeed in that attempt, but that's what I try and do. Red tape is incredibly sticky. Okay. Now I personally, sometimes I can peel this tape backing off easily, and other times, oh, it's cooperating with me today, at least on that side. Sometimes it's very difficult for me to get the, oh, see, this side isn't going to cooperate quite as, oh, that wasn't too bad. Okay, so now what I like to do is kind of get it where I want to, make sure that it, yeah, it's going to be just fine. And I want her right about there. And I do need to scooch it over just a tad so that it fits. Ooh, it just fits the page. How fantastic is that? And slide it up. Okay, that's awesome. So the only other thing that I want to do real quick is, since this has like a line around it, I really probably should have done it on this, but of course I get these ideas after the fact. I want to edge this a bit. And again, if I'd been planning ahead, not only would I have edged, let's see if I can do this without getting any on the backing. Well, it's not ideal, but gives a little bit anyway. And then just going to go around the edges of the tag. Just to make this feel a little bit more finished. And I'm not being precious or precise about this at all, but it does give it just the slightest bit of edge to help it pop. All right, and tuck that away and that away. Okay, and then the last thing I need to do is use my embossing label maker to make the tag for today. Now I couldn't forget to make my label for the day. Go back and check, make sure I had the right number and prompt. I have been wanting this tool for quite a long time, and it was nice to have this challenge as a little bit of an excuse to purchase it. I'll go ahead and throw the link in the description for this as well. So now I have stripes. So I'm going to cut off some of the extra on the front, and I have to decide where to put this. And I think I Had thought about putting it here, but I love the give, love, laugh. So I'm not gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna put it down here at the bottom. So peel this off and let it overlap a bit. That'll hide that number that's down there somewhat. And there we go. Day 11 stripes. Hope you enjoyed. Happy crafting. Make a great day.